Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of Drawing Science. In today's episode, we are going to learn how to draw a squid. Now, squid are really interesting animals. They are in the group called cephalopods, which means that they're related to cuttlefish and octopus and the chambered nautilus. And a little bit more broad than that, they're in a group called the mollusks. That's their phylum. And this also includes animals like snails and slugs, and clams and mussels and things like that. But we're going to focus on the squid today. So squid are actually pretty easy to draw, even though they have all those appendages and things like that. And in order to start getting this one going, we're going to draw basically a line just like that, kind of curving a little bit at this end right here. And then we're going to draw another line just like this. And here we've got this sort of a triangle without a bottom shape, a little more of a curve on the end of it. And this is what we call the foot of the squid. The squid's foot. Cephalopod means head foot, and this is the foot part. It's also this sheath on the outside of the squid is called the mantle. So this is also known as the mantle of the squid right here. And the mantle's pretty interesting because it's actually sort of an overall skin that goes around the internal organs, the main internal organs of the squid. And down here, we're going to draw a little point just like that. The water can go right up into this area right here. Now, whoops, the squid's head is actually going to come off the bottom of this. And you can just draw it like couple little lines there. The water's going to go in here. It's going to come out of a tube, a funnel or siphon that's actually on the back of the squid on the other side from this point here. And the water is going to get pushed through this and out this like a jet engine, and the squid can turn this in different directions. And that's how they move really fast. So they're going to actually move this way, which is a little different than we probably think of an animal moving. Now, when they do that, they need to be able to stabilize themselves and also be able to turn, and they do that with the use of these fins. And these fins are just these big triangles here that go on the foot or mantle of the squid. Whoa, that's a wonky. You want them to kind of match. Try that again. You can use your eraser if you don't have an undo button. That's still not matching. Oh, well, that's okay. I'm going to leave it because I want you guys to realize that these drawings don't have to be absolutely 100% perfect, and they'll still look pretty good. Now, different squid have different sized fins. Some of them, the fin might actually be really big on your squid. Some of them, they might be smaller. So it just depends on what species or type of squid you are drawing. Now, another thing squid are known for are their eyes. They have really big eyes, and I'm going to do the squid eyes like these big partial circles right on either side of their head. And in fact, the largest eyeball of any animal living today, and that, as far as we know, ever lived, is the giant squid. The giant squid can have an eyeball the size of like a basketball or a soccer ball. I don't play soccer, but anyway, that's big. That's huge because the biggest animal we know of is the blue whale, and blue whales, they only have eyeballs the size of a softball, and they're a much larger animal, like 100 feet long, whereas giant squid is probably going to get 30 to 40 feet long. There's some records that say they get a little longer, but they need that big eyeball because they're living in the darkest parts of the ocean, and even non-giant squids have large eyes because they're usually either active at night or they live in the deep, and they need to be able to have a big lens in that eye so they can pick up little bits of light. So I'm going to give our squid here a pupil, which is just going to be a circle inside there, and just kind of color these in like so. There we go. Now, if you wanted, you could give a little highlight in there or something like that. I'm going to leave the highlight off of this squid just for simplicity's sake. And of course, squid have all these appendages. And I'm not saying tentacles, which may be what you'd expect me to say, but here's the thing about squid. They do have tentacles, but maybe not as many as you think. Most people, if you ask that how many tentacles does a squid have, they're probably going to say 10. And this is not the right answer. Okay, the right answer is they have two tentacles. They have two tentacles. They have 8 arms. So the arms, I'm going to do a real simple version. We can just do another little triangle to get these 8 arms. They're smaller than the tentacles. Draw a line right in the middle. Then from this point, I'm going to draw a line up like this, over like this. Now we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and you're going, where are the other 4? You got to have 4 more. Well, in reality, they're going to be sitting behind these, so you're not probably going to be able to see them. If you want, you can get fancy. You can draw a little one coming out here and here. If you do that, you can even add some little circles, because on these arms, they have little sucker discs. Now you may be thinking, okay, arms, tentacles, isn't that really the same thing? And to a lot of people it might be, but for a scientist, these are different types of appendages. So a tentacle is usually not going to have the muscle control that an arm has. Humans have 2 arms, and we can use them to pick things up and move things around. And same with the arms on a cephalopod, like an octopus has 8 arms. No tentacles on that octopus, but 8 arms. The tentacles on the squid are kind of these long, draw a long line like this. They're not a lot of muscle control in there. They're kind of flimsy, kind of weak. And here's the thing. Most squid use these to kind of spring out and catch their prey, which are going to be fish, other squid, things like crabs or shrimp, and then they're going to pull them in. So they do need to have some suckers on there, but they're typically only on the ends of the tentacles, on these little bits that kind of fan out like a leaf. So you can kind of draw this shape right here. I'm going to draw it on this one too, so you can see it. Just kind of almost like a little teardrop or half circle shape. Now, if you want, you can kind of make this another line right here to show that this has actually got a little more mass to it than just a line. It's up to you. If you want, this can be a little bit difficult to do. I'm just doing it real quick here. If it's not perfectly even, it's okay. It's a cartoon squid. But they do usually have a little girth to them. And again, depending on which way these are facing, you may or may not see the suckers on there. So if you do see them, they're probably going to look something like this. Usually a couple rows like that on that little end of their tentacles. And there you have a basic squid. Now, if you want to add some more little accoutrements to your squid, you can do some fancy stuff like this. You can add a line here that kind of represents this piece right in the middle, which is what's called the pen of the squid. And this is sort of their version of a shell. I said they're mollusks, which most mollusks like snails and clams have shells, or at least a shell. Octopus and squid don't really have a shell. The chambered nautilus does. But they do have, squid have this pen. It looks actually like a piece of plastic, only unlike all the plastic that is unfortunately in the ocean, it's not. It's actually made of chitin, which is the same stuff that an insect exoskeleton is made of. And this gives the squid a little bit of structure to it, so it's not as squishy as an octopus. Another thing that's really cool about squid, a lot of people know that they can squirt out the ink, which comes out from actually under the mantle here. They have an ink gland, and it can be a chemically confusing thing that they put out there visually, or maybe even like scent or taste type thing to confuse a would-be predator. But squid also have what are called chromatophores, and these are little skin cells. And octopus have these as well. Cuttlefish have these. They usually, if you can see them, they look maybe like little circles. So you give your squid some circles if you want to get kind of fancy there with your squid. They're going to be all over the mantle. They're actually even on your squid's head and arms, everything. What's cool about these is they're little skin cells, and when the squid contract these cells, it'll change the pigment of them. Now, there are other animals that can do this, like, of course, chameleons are famous for being able to change color, but really, it's the cephalopods that should get that credit, because where a chameleon might change color to communicate with another chameleon, or maybe to absorb more heat or absorb less heat, cephalopods do this for communication, but also for camouflage. And they're much more effective at it than any other animal with chromatophores, because they can change them really fast, and they can make different patterns to match their surroundings. These are amazing creatures, really cool animals. Octopus are known to be really intelligent, and that's saying a lot for an animal that doesn't even have a bony skeleton, but really fascinating creatures. All right, guys, well, listen, I'm going to wrap this up. I hope you enjoyed drawing a squid. If you did, hey, give this video a thumbs up. And if you do a squid drawing, post it down below so we can see it and check it out. And we'll give you positive feedback on it and let you know how much we love it. And if you love this video, also think about subscribing so we can get more of these videos going. All right, guys, thanks a lot and have a great day.